Help me, Deltia! You're my only hope! You just logged into Elder Scrolls Online, update 29 hits, you open up the champion point system, and it's a mess. I'm here to tell you the top 5 tips to get you started on the champion point, get some basic understanding, and customize your characters. Let's go. So you crack this champion point system up. Constellation, stars, 3 trees. What do we do and why? Let's go to the green tree. We get in here, and it's kind of like a constellation, right, of stars. You'll notice the pluses and minuses. These are where you can start out putting points. Disregard these 3 on the island out here because they're not a part of the constellation. Those are important. We're going to talk about them in a minute. But what you're going to want to do is kind of read over these independently by putting your mouse over, seeing which ones look good, and I'll give you some ideas of where to go and why. But when you're moving along this path, this is how it works. Lightly dimmed, yellowish stars, right? It's going to take 10 points to get a bonus. All the way up in this particular one to 50. So every 10 points, you'll hear a cute little ching, ching. Sounds like gold, right? Increase gold. 10% gold, we're rich. So it's also, you want to make sure you have enough points to get that bonus. Otherwise, you're kind of wasting it. So let's go ahead and put 10 points in. As soon as we do that, you notice and hear a little sound effect and see the path light up. It gives us another plus and minus point right here. So if you want to get something that's really juicy, like let's say treasure hunter, increase the quality of items you find in treasure chest. Amazing! If you're like me, you gotta farm dungeons all day to get gear for 37 builds, this is perfect. So instead of taking 50 and 50 and 75 and 50, you don't need to do that. In fact, you can get to this pretty quick, right? So 10, 10, 15. There's a different minimum, see? On this one, 10, and then you get the treasure hunter. So the path is really important. You understand how to move along the path. Now you'll also notice the greenish ones here that kind of light up bright, just like treasure hunter, right? Let's explain what that is next in tip number 2. Okay, so you understand how to kind of move around the path. Now, what do we do? What do we get and why? Well, we got to understand the Slottables versus passives. So far on this path, we have basically just passives. So putting 10 points into here gives us a passive increase of 2% gold. Great. You'll notice this top bar, Deltia, what is that? Well, we have the 3 specific areas you get in and only 4 slottable items, right? So you'll notice the treasure hunter one, like I said earlier, it is 0 to 50. So putting a couple points in here doesn't do anything. We have to max this sucker out. And then all of a sudden, beep, you hear the cool little sound. It glows, bright star. We can click it, drag it, and drop it. Now we got 1 shiny. So you can only have 4 of these slottables. Meaning, you could max out your champion points 3,600, but you're going to be limited power-wise because you can only slot 4 at a time. So when you're reading over these champion point systems and you highlight your mouse over them, see add to champion bar to activate, that's kind of what's going to let you know what's an active versus a passive. That little text that says add champion bar, add the champion bar. So those are the slottables that have the add to champion bar if you can't tell visually. So again, you're going to kind of map out your plan where to go based on how many champion points you have and those specific impactful slottables that you can get. Now, let me tell you how to get some slottables right away to feel a little more impactful. Okay, speaking of slottables, what's really important is to max out these right away. So some of you aren't going to have a gazillion champion points like me because you played this game nonstop for 6-7 years. You're going to be new. You're going to be kind of frustrated, like, oh my gosh, this is over daunting and overwhelming. I think they've built something in the game for you, specifically the newer player, because you'll notice these 3 on an island. Why is this relevant? Well, I don't have to go to any path. I can start out with 0 champion points and get a shiny, get a slottable. So you'll notice here, add the champion bar, but there's no big progress meter like treasure hunter, right? So to get treasure hunter, I can't just put 1 point in. I can't put 10, 15. I got to max that sucker out, not these ones. So when you start off, you can actually get some slottables right away. 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. Now guess what? We have 3 Slottables. Yay! Are they super impactful? No, not to start. But I would highly recommend you max out these Slottables right away. These are going to be the heavy hitters while you're back filling in some of the passes that are going to make your character powerful. So if I were starting out, I didn't really know what to do or why. Well, the nearest one I could get was probably this, Friends in Low Places, right? So I could start here, I could start here, and then I have to go 2. But if I start here and go 1, I could just do another 10, max this out, and I have 4 right away. Okay? So you can play with it too, because you might get to this one, but that's a 50. Treasure Hunter's a 50. So on. So you might be best off trying to plot out how to get these Slottables right away. If you're 1,300 plus champion points deep, well, it's not going to be an issue getting to the Slottables that you want. But for the average player, just picking this up for the first time, look at these ones that are independent. And I'll show you each tree, kind of giving you the little synopsis of what I think is good. So speaking of each tree, we've kind of putted around here on the green one. So we're still going to count that as a tip, right? I got to fill these 5 tips. So I've talked about Treasure Hunter. Obviously, that's really good. So I love Treasure Hunter. That's kind of the one that I want to head on to right away. But another one that I really like is going down here, going up the Treasure Hunter. But you go down and add 10 minutes to the duration of any food or drink eaten. That's pretty cool. I kind of like that. But also, when you use a potion or poison, you have a 10% chance not to consume it. Is that super impactful on your character? No, but if you're chugging down tripods doing PvP or spell power potions nonstop, doing PvE, this can really add up quite a bit. So this is one that I really, really like. Not that impactful in performance, but it's a really nice quality of life perk. Speaking of some that are impactful, you might like, this is kind of more out of combat tree, but if you go Gilded Fingers here, gold gain, that's a no-brainer passive, right? Right here, amount of gold you find in treasure boxes, fantastic, another good one. Friends in Low Places, but let's come down here to this passive. Reduce the radius you can be detected while sneaking by 1 meter per stage. That's pretty good. That's pretty performance-based, impactful. So if you're like the stealthy class and you're looking for something, and guess what? It's not a slottable, so it's a passive. So eventually everyone's going to want to get over here to get out of sight. Another one, reduce the movement speed penalty of sneak by 5% per stage. Fantastic. It's not even a slottable. It's another one you can just get passively and add to your character's power. And then a couple other ones, if you're liking playing the stealthy, sneaky rogue-ish, you can come over here and get those entry-level ones, Sustaining Shadow. Reduce the cost of sneak by 1% per stage. So you can pump this up, boom, all the way to 50%. Also, increases the out-of-combat movement speed by up to 20%. So right there, you get 2 shinies, get that Treasure Hunter one, get some of these passes and a couple other ones, and this is a really strong tree, especially for those sneaky rogue types. Alright, the blue tree, tip number 5, and we got 1 more to go, so you're getting a bonus. Yay, filling content. Blue tree, warfare, right? So what does that sound like? Well, damage, healing, it's a lot of that. There's an extra layer of complexity to this tree, which is the purple. It's kind of a weird shiny thing, and then you see 5 additional things in there and a magnifying glass. And when you click on this, you actually drill down. And then you get 1 healing per second, or healing taken, magical attacks, reduction damage non-player attacks by 2%, hardy, so on. And then you get a shiny, resilience, so crit resistance. Probably a good PvP one down here. So the blue one is the ultra complex one. It happens to be in the middle, which kind of frustrated me when I cracked this open. I'm like, you know what? I give up. I'm just going to do no CP PvP for a while because I don't know what the heck to set this to. So don't get too disturbed or excited about that, because a lot of this is going to be very redundant after you've done this on a few characters. So let me kind of explain. This character here specifically is a healer base spec. So we're going to go over here. Grants magic per stage. So almost every magic user is going to take this passive, right? Magic per stage. I'm a magic user. Why would I not want to have that? Coming over here, Arcane Supremacy. You'll notice it's on an island, like the green ones. Increase max magic per stage. Okay, I'm a healer, I want max magic. So already we've taken 2. One's a shiny, right? So we're looking pretty good. And guess what? You have Untamed Aggression here, weapon and spell damage. That's another one you could take, possibly, if you want an offensive. And then also, stamina. So it's on the same side of the thing here, right? So increase max stamina, increase max stamina. So what looks really daunting at first, a couple of them aren't going to apply to a magic-based build that doesn't rely on stamina. And a couple of them will, and they're logical. You're probably going to take them on most builds at all. And so I'm healer spec, so where do I go from here? Well, if I go here, increase healing done by 1%. Okay, sounds good. Take it. And then we get a whole bunch of shinies for healing. Let's go to the top. After you drink a potion, the cost of magic and stamina healing abilities used within 6 seconds are reduced by 35%. I'm an Argonian. I chug down potions. This is a no-brainer for me. So I'm going to come up here. You can go one of 2 different ways. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to take this one. Now, you don't have to pump these all the way up, but for a heal spec, I've got my max magic, I got 3 shinies, and I got some good passes. I hadn't had to drill down in a million different ones and see all these different things down here. That's what I would do for a healer, is kind of prioritize this side. So that was the healer spec. What else is this tree about? Well, the top right is really offensive damage. Deadly aim, increasing damage dealing, damage single target, damage over time, AoE. So if you're a damage spec, well, you're going to start probably, if your stamina here, if your magic here, you're going to start roughly there, or increase crit chance. So these passives are pretty obvious which ones you would take, right? So if you take this, okay, you get max crit, great. You're going to kind of go over here and grab the ones that are applied, like if you're a single target spec, your damage over time, or your massive AoE. Then you got one here, increasing your crit damage, crit healing done. Fighting finesse, grabbing like your max stat, and then grabbing 2 of these shinies for damage dealer, and then some passes when you drill down an extended might, you drill down to staving death. It's very, very simple, actually. So take the time to kind of play around with this. This is where damage dealers go. We come down in here. We haven't drilled down yet. Offensive penetration, right? Makes sense to grab some of that. Increase your chance to apply martial status effects, so on. So what looks extremely complex isn't that bad. Offensive up here, you're going to have healing over here, some other things that apply to every single one, and then coming down here in the middle. So we have staving death, again, crit resistance. These are healing taken. So kind of think of it as some of the old elements in the red tree that were previous in the champion point system. Element of Aegis, preparation, hardy. They just put them in different spots, gang. So it's really not that complex, and it can be, but don't be overwhelmed by it. Try to experiment and see what you do. I think the most important thing I'm trying to tell you is if you take some shinies, some Slottables that are good, some kind of obviously common sense max magic, max stam, or resistance based things, you're probably going to be pretty set. And then you're going to come down here. Reduce the damage taken by single targets. Reduce damage taken over time. Reduce damage taken by area effect, and so on. So again, these are probably tank-ish ones. And you got the independent ones over here for max stats. So the blue tree looks overwhelming. When you drill down into it, not so bad. Alright, we come over to the finesse tree, and this doesn't look as complicated. These seem pretty obvious based on what type you're playing, PvE or PvP. They really have a lot of strong independent ones. Rejuvenation, so grants recovery per stage. This is really strong. Regardless of what spec you're playing, what context, this is a shiny. It's really strong. You're probably going to take it on the majority of your play styles. Same thing here. Adds armor per stage. Very strong. It's not tied to light, medium, or heavy, just based on you as an individual. Grants max health. Another very strong one. So if you're looking at something super complex, you can't beat max health, more armor, and more recovery. The other ones in here, like Unchained, this is familiar, kind of changed from the previous champion point system, but you're going to see some redundancies in some of the things that we used to take. So Unchained, slippery, so some break free, some resource intensive ones here. Crowd control again. A lot of different shinies. Some break free over here. Coming over into the type of middle area here. Roll dodge, roly polies, you're going to love that. But you're going to get some of the same kind of feel here. Restore 300 stamina per stage whenever you kill an enemy. So if you're like that really offensive or aggressive playstyle, this is a good start. Also, it's great for leveling and grinding. So if you're grinding up mobs or leveling a new tune, you can afford to reach this shiny. It'd be really nice because you can sustain yourself. So when you're grinding, this is a kind of a cool one to get. Magic, the exact same thing here. The Strategic Reserve, gain 30 health recovery for every 10 ultimate you have. So again here, Spirit Mastery up here. Takes the time to resurrect an ally. You're playing heal spec, this might be something for you. And that's the red tree, tip number 6. So gang, that's my quick tip list for champion points. Don't be overwhelmed. It is a bit confusing to start, but as this becomes more familiar, we're going to have pretty much a standardized setup for tanks, healers, and all that, PvP. And there's already people that have those guides out. I'll do a deep delve into these champion points a little bit more when I understand them later. But right now, that's to get you started. That's to get you more familiar with it. Play around with it. Do not be me. I left it alone for a week and just did no CP content because I didn't want to fuss with it on 17 plus characters. So I'd say, if you watch this video, you have a good idea. Pick some of the 4 shinies. Get some good passives. Take the time to wheel around and read every single thing. You can follow a guide, but ultimately, you're going to have to make the decisions on your own. Please, if you like this video, like, subscribe, share it, leave me a comment, and feel free to join Nugget Nation. And we got more Elder Scrolls Online content coming. Thanks for watching.